All right, welcome everyone. We're just letting everyone roll in right now and get all your settings ready to go. So we'll give you guys a few minutes to get all situated. Okay. Looks like everyone is connected. Able to hear me?
Yes.
Great.
We're heard.
Welcome, welcome everyone. So my name is Madison Skidmore. Thank you for tuning in to today's GTM Talks. My coworker Brittany and I will be helping this presentation along today. The GTM Education Department will be hosting this series. GTM Talks is a virtual lecture series that highlights research and monitoring efforts at the Reserve. Each lecture within the series will focus on one of the Reserve's management plan goals, which are to improve natural biodiversity, improve water quality, enhance understanding of sea level rise and climate change impacts, improve visitor experiences while minimizing resource damage, and increase awareness of cultural history. Today's discussion will focus on efforts being made to help minimize resource damage through conservation and volunteerism in St. Augustine, Florida, and the GTM boundaries. Feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat box and let us know where you're tuning in from. The chat box is also where you can ask questions during the presentation. Your questions will be answered during the Q&A session. So with that, we will go over some more Zoom housekeeping. I'm going to hand it over to Brittany.
Hi, guys. So thank you, Madison. So basically, this is Zoom. Here we are. Weirdness. But anyway, so our housekeeping is generally, if you look here, you have a mute button. Everybody is muted upon entry. And you have your video. It's up to you if you want to be seen or not throughout the presentation. But then also there's a participants box, and if you click it, it'll give you feedback. You can give nonverbal feedback through raising a hand or, saying to speed it up or things like that. Aside from that, there's also the chat box, and you can ask questions throughout the presentation, and then at the end, we'll have a Q&A where we will address those questions that you even asked throughout the presentation. And aside from that, then we'll have a in-person question Q&A. So you can actually voice your questions if we have time. However, I will let everybody know that 4 o'clock is the cutoff, just ahead of time. So if there are further questions, please let us know. They will be answered, but we'll give contact information, and your questions will be answered even if we don't have time. Back to you, Madison.
Thanks, Brittany. So we are so excited to introduce our speaker today, Julie Edwards. She's the Sustainability Site Lead of Northrop Grumman. Julie will discuss how the organization solves the toughest problems in space, aeronautics, defense, and cyberspace to meet the ever-evolving needs of their customers worldwide, using science, technology, and engineering. Julie will speak about how her professional life has brought her even closer to the estuary. And with that, we give you Julie.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're perfect. Yep.
Excellent. And everybody can see my screen as well? Fantastic. All right. So thank you guys for having me. Again, my name is Julie Edwards. I work for Northrop Grumman here at our St. Augustine location. We are a global company with many locations, but I am home based here. Lucky for me, which is obviously close to the GTM NERD.
Oh, hey, Julie, you muted yourself.
Hold on. There we
Somehow.
Go. There we go. There we go. We're good.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So let me just tell you about ourselves a little bit, where we're located. You might take your drive along the beach. You might never go down US 1. But if you go down US 1 and you ever pass the St. Augustine Airport, that's where we're located. So we're this little red dot here. The airport is the little blue dot. So how, Northrop Grumman, our location specifically, can affect the estuary, as you can see, all the water that's surrounding our location. If you go all the way up to the corner of the picture there's the Guana River. So our stormwater actually flows into a wetlands, into the estuary. That's our final outfall. So, what we do actually impacts the estuary very, very much. So we want to make sure that we're good environmental stewards, that we're keeping our stormwater runoff clean. And we do have a lot of management programs that manage all of those water bodies. And again, our final outfall is out to the Casacola and the Talamato, which is some places that you guys might visit. So we are neighbors. So what we do definitely has an environmental impact to our waterway. So this is us here at the St. Augustine location. We have many different things that we build and design and make, but here in St. Augustine, the Navy is our customer. So we build this beautiful aircraft. You might have seen it flying above because we test it right here at the St. Augustine Airport with our customer. We are the largest industrial employer in St. Johns County. So again, what we do definitely in fact impacts the environment. We have about 1,000 employees here at the site, and you can definitely learn a lot more online. You can look up, what we do here. This was actually out of a recent article from our VP, Randy Bradley, that talks about our buildings, our office space. So we are a very large site with many acres. And not only is this campus where you see us on US 1, but we do have another building across the runway as well. So that's a little bit about who we are. So just to tell you a little bit about who I am. I've been here at Northrop Grumman. It'll be 6 years this year in April. I was honored last year with an LL Hedgepeth Award. So we're talking about water quality, biodiversity, and the city of St. Augustine actually nominated me for this award. It is for the management and processes of our industrial wastewater treatment plant. There was a picture and an accolade in the Florida Water Journal last year as well. So this was a big to-do because the city of St. Augustine is one of our regulators. That's where we get our drinking water from. That's where we discharge our treated industrial wastewater to. So it's definitely a relationship that's a continued great successful relationship. And it was an honor to be nominated and awarded this last year. So I do have 16 years of industrial water treatment experience. I do have some responsibilities besides just working here at the site. I'm a volunteer leader. So Green NG is our environmental group. So I lead the sector for activities like Earth Day and America Recycles Day and fun things like that. I'm also a member of a couple different organizations. There's the Association of Climate Change Professionals. I was in my water treatment life, an Association of Water Technologists member. Also STEAM education. I know I sit with, Brittany with the coastal water resources at the technical school. So it's definitely amazing to get kids involved with water because again, it is all around us here and it is a natural resource that we need to protect. And of course, I am a board member of the GTM NER, the Friends of the GTM NER. I've been on the board for, I guess this will be my 4th year from secretary to vice president. And so that's been a great relationship too. So it's been a fun time. So that's a little bit about me. So let's talk a little bit about, my thing does not want to advance. There we go. The airport and the history here. Just tell you a little bit about our space and what we're doing here at the site and why we're doing it and the improvements that we're making here on water quality. So this is an old site. This building that's featured here on the bottom. We see these old aircrafts. I think this picture might be from the 50s. But this is on the Northeast Florida airports, their website. So it tells you a little bit, all this information actually you can find on their website. So the land obviously has been used for aircraft in one way or another for quite some time. It's been opened, it's been closed. It was, some of these names people might know that have been here for the last, 40, 50 years. Fairchild in 1955 was the aircraft manufacturing company that was here. That's when they started to really use the 8,000 feet of runway. Then Fairchild was another name folks might know and remember. And then when they closed their doors, I know it was a big blow to the economy here in this area. In 1980s, it was Grumman that acquired Fairchild. And then from 90s to 2003, there was a lot of different acquisitions, but then Northrop Grumman was what merged here at the St. Augustine location. So we've been doing mod work, overhauls, manufacturing of aircraft here in this space for quite some time. So again, lots of different hands and lots of different companies. So that's what we do here. We make airplanes. So how can we help improve natural biodiversity and improve water quality? Well, we definitely have a commitment as a company to helping the environment. Let me just tell you about our corporate responsibility report. So this is something that is issued, published every month. Annually, published annually. So in 2020, we published the 2019 report. So that's the most recent one that you will find online. It usually comes in out mid-year. So of course, we're working on the one for 2020 as we speak. This one here shows a picture of our Melbourne site, another location that's in Florida. We have multiple locations, but in Florida, our biggest sites would be Melbourne. We have an Apopka site, a couple buildings in Orlando. So obviously each one of these locations is committed to environmental sustainability. Besides talking about water, which is what we've been talking about a lot, but we do have other goals, not only to reduce water and water use and improve water quality, but to reduce greenhouse gas, minimize reductions, whether that's through the chemicals we use or lighting projects or the way we operate our business. So we want to make sure we're reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Also waste, think of that big bird that we make. We generate some waste from production waste, scrap metal. So we try to recycle and find outlets for everything that we use. Obviously, we're going to generate waste, but again, trying to minimize the impact to our environment. So environmental sustainability is definitely in the vernacular of all the vice presidents, and it's one of our 6 non-financial metrics. And you can read more about that in our corporate responsibility report. Then in 2020, they changed the name, not to a corporate responsibility, but to further show our commitment to sustainability. It's now called the Sustainability Report. So in 2019, this is actually here in St. Augustine. Again, we're a 1,000 employee site, but I say we made it big time because we made it into the global report. This is our St. Augustine location, and that's Randy Bradley featured in the picture there, cutting the ribbon of our water project that we did in 2019. So just to tell you a little bit about our water project, I told you a little bit about the history of the airport, just to kind of give you some background. So we do have contaminated groundwater. So, what are we doing to improve the water quality? We're doing a lot. Back in the 90s, there were hazardous waste regulations, and that's when it was found that, we have contamination on our site. So not necessarily what we were doing that day in the 90s, but, a history of maybe abuse or misuse of, waste disposal. So our project involves our cooling tower, which is a cooling system. Didn't mean to go fast, which is here in this background. You can see my pointer, right? All right, so that's our cooling tower. This is on top of our building 100, which is also a LEED Gold certified for design and construction building. This makes our air conditioning. It uses about 7-8 million gallons of water a year. So that's a lot of water to make some air conditioning. So part of our goals, of course, is to reduce our water footprint. And how can we do that and clean up the environments? Well, this was our solution. You can definitely read about it more in this sustainability report. But this was a big project. It was first for the company. We're taking our contaminated groundwater and we're using it for this air conditioning system. So basically we have displaced our potable water. So we're not using potable water. We're using the groundwater, which we have been pumping and treating since 1995. So we are adding 8 million gallons a year that we are treating and pumping and cleaning up. So our projection a couple of years ago was that we would have to pump and treat 20 more years. And we didn't find that acceptable. We're like, we've been doing this since 1995. We need to get this done. Our permit is to renew in 2025. So our goal was like, let's clean it up by 2025. Let's do this. So this project helped facilitate that. Again, we don't use drinking water. We're cleaning up that water already, so we're increasing our footprint of cleaning up that water by, like I said, 7-8 million gallons annually. And the thing with an air conditioning system, where pumping and treating, I take 1 gallon out and I put 1 back into the city. So it's a lot of stress on the city municipality, which is the city of St. Augustine I talked about. They have to, treat and process all that water too at the end of the day. Well, if we use our cooling system, evaporative cooling systems make air conditioning by evaporation. So every 10 gallons I take out of the ground, I'm only giving the city 2 back. So they love that. It doesn't impact their water footprint. It doesn't, put a lot of stress on their potable water treatment system down the line. And it's cleaning up the groundwater and removing our contaminants. So it's like a huge win for the company. And so it's really, really exciting. So with that project, we had a ton of stakeholder involvement. I mean, I sit with, but besides being a sustainability person here, my bigger umbrella is the environmental health and safety group. So our goal was like, let's clean this up faster. That's the end goal. We don't want to do that permit again for another 10, 20 years. From a sustainability standpoint, we wanted to get off potable water. How can we reduce our potable water? So this project helped with that. There's definitely a cost savings involved. There's less stress on the municipality, which is the city of St. Augustine. We save them, that water that they can send down the line to new customers. They're building new homes around us here around the airport. So it really helps them out as well. We have a corporate remediation team. They manage all of these sites that have contaminants. So with them, with permit management, that's 15 years less. They have to manage us and all of the different processes and permits and paperwork. Obviously, cost is always big key. What's the savings? So there, of course, there's a cost involvement with the project, but there's also a cost benefit, non-financial benefit at that too, because we're cleaning it up faster. City of St. Augustine, I know I've mentioned many a times, they are our water utility. Their concern was, what is the water quality? What are you going to give me? Is it going to be treated efficiently? Because you've had this pump and treat system, with those systems and processes, there's lab work, there's water sampling, there's all of these different verifications and checks. So all of those will be minimized as well. And we did some preliminary work. We did some test bench. We sent it to a lab. We simulated a cooling tower running with our contaminated groundwater. And we proved that it would remove the contaminants just like, we were doing just with our pump and treat system. So they were really happy with that. The end of the day, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, I know that's something that, there's an entity you guys get involved with all the time with different projects, things like that, permits. So those are the people at the end of the day we had to convince. I mean, they were the ones that had to sign off on the final design and say, yes, you can go forward. This sounds like a great project. And we anticipated a couple months of deliberation back and forth about this, but once we submitted the package to them, it actually turned around quite quickly, which was very exciting. And we got to get this project done, before the end of the year, which was our goal. I think it was December 19th. We finally turned on the system and it was up and running. So that was exciting. And at the end of the day, we built this brand new, beautiful LEED Gold certified building. Facilities didn't want that dirty, contaminated water in their air conditioning system, so we had to prove our business case to them too. It's better for the environment. You're actually going to get a cost savings by not buying potable water and using this groundwater. So again, a lot of stakeholders in the project. It took about 3 years in the making from idea and, talking to different teams to go through this whole process. So great team effort, and it was a super fun project. And I'm glad I get to share it with you. So definitely stakeholder buy-in was essential to begin the project. And I know from the GTM standpoint, you guys with permits and grants, you have so many people that are involved and on your team. And so I can really appreciate that component of it. So another aerial view for you. This is our heat map, if you will, of our contaminants. So you can see there where we are projected. That's just the heat map. And then the projection of 3 years later, there's in the middle. And then you can see by 5 years, definitely it's gone. So again, very quick to expedite this cleanup versus another 20 years, which is awesome. All right, so, we always like to get mission reassurance from the customer. In the city of St. Augustine, although we're the customer, we had to sell this idea to them. So they sent us a letter recognizing our efforts of our increasing our water conservation, our remediation efforts, and enhancing sustainability. So that was a nice letter, and we appreciated that. And of course, their continued working relationship. And that's, also what we have with the GTM NER, which I'll get into in a little bit as well. So because of our project last year, the North Florida Green Chamber, there's a couple different chapters of this Green Chamber, but there's one here in North Florida, and they're just getting started. Last year was their first inaugural Water Quality Award. And I thought, who better to win this award but Northrop Grumman? So we submitted our package, and this was also in the paper. And of course, you can see what they said about us that demonstrates significant, lasting, measurable excellence in water quality improvement or in the prevention of water quality degradation. So again, we build aircraft every day. This is our building where we do that. We build the E-2D Hawkeye in this building. Again, LEED Gold building, but at the same time, we're also making a huge impact to our water quality and our environment. So we're really proud of that. So just 1 second here while I flip screens, I want to show you what else we do in our building, this beautiful building, to be sustainable. Let me just flip over here real quick. Well, 1 second.
I think we're all patient.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm gonna have to reload it. I think it might have closed out. 1 second.
We're here.
Excellent. All right, there is some music to this, but there's no words. So if you can't hear it or you don't have your volume turned up, no worries. Just let me know when you can see it, and then I will push play.
We are good to go.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you've ever driven down US 1, you've seen our building 100 is the number we give it. And so this gives you a little highlight to what goes on inside. All right, everybody saw that? Awesome. Let me flip back over. Are we good? Perfect, thank you. All right, so just a couple highlights on that video. Again, 1,200 solar panels, all of that energy is used to, in the building. It basically runs that air conditioning system I talked about. It offsets 30% of our energy to run that system. 100% of the energy is used every day. We don't store it, we don't sell it, we don't share it. So all of that is used at this building. We do have a protected wetlands that showed in the video. So again, I talked about that discharge, and that's our final outfall for all of our stormwater. We've got turtles, we've got snakes, we've got alligators from time to time. So we definitely have some natural biodiversity on our site. So it's a really pretty place to be, and I'm glad I got to share that video with you. All right, so moving on to the amazing people that work here, because it's all about the people. You know, you can build great buildings, you can save water, but it's all about the people. So, and then I think that's what makes the GTM and all the volunteers so amazing there. So this is how we partnered with the GTM. So again, I told you that I work with the Employee Resource Group, which we call Green NG. That's our environmental group. So the one great thing about these groups is that, you know, you can be a VP, a manager, a mechanic on the floor, and everybody can get their swim shorts on and just start, you know, doing something for the environment. So that's what's really, really great. You network, you meet people, you know, and you're doing something together that you're passionate about. So this here project was at Aunt Kate's over at the Usina boat ramp. I believe the DEP was involved and a couple other stakeholders in this project. We planted the Spartina and the oyster shells here, the recycled oyster shells that were in the bags. I know this is a real turbulent area. I know it's kind of gotten shuffled around a little bit from a couple of the hurricanes, but again, this was a really fun project. And we kind of said that it looked like one of our aircrafts, the B-2 formation, if you see that though. So again, really fun project. How we got started though with the GTM is building these gabions. I think this was the first big project we did. I want to say it was 2017. And they said, you know, we're building these things in the Middle Beach lot. We recycle oyster shells. So we rallied some troops together. It was a pretty cold day and we get there. We didn't know what we were getting into. You know, they had the gloves, the tin snip, they had everything that we needed, which was great. Wore our closed-toed shoes, safety first, and rolled out all this wire in the parking lot. And we're cutting this wire and we're like, why are we doing this here? You know, we have machines to do this. You know, why are people wasting so much time? You know, time is money. But this was really fun just to participate out there. The weather was fantastic. But we said to the GTM, listen, you know, we're a big company. We got lots of people and we have this really cool place called a fab lab where people can create. So it's got, you know, 3D printers, it's got cutting tools, it's got an industrial sewing machine. Why can't we take your wire, which is like 250 feet, I don't even know how many pounds it weighed, and take it to our fab lab, roll it out and cut it out with a machine. I mean, why are we here in the parking lot? So luckily they let us do that. They were happy to give us their wire. So this was a you know, part two to a fun project and really a lasting relationship because employees ask about the gabions. They're like, are we still making the gabions? What happened to the gabions? You know, they want to know if we can make more or where they're at, and they want to put them in the water. They want to see, you know, what they've done and the studies about them. So it's great that the researchers are continuously, you know, monitoring all the oyster populations and things like that and the water quality. And so when we do talks and we inform and educate the employees on our natural resources out here, that this is one of the highlights that we do talk about for sure. And it's something that, you know, people have talked about. So we can't wait till this COVID is a little bit more subsided and we can get together and do these kinds of projects because we definitely love this one. Memorable. So another project that we did, and this was just right before the shutdown, really, we did this, I believe it was February, March, or January, February, I couldn't remember the 2 months, but a team again of employees, we did this for 3 or 4 weekends. And again, managers to mechanics to industrial engineers. I mean, it was just all different disciplines at our site, and they brought their kids, you know, so the kids came with drills and hammers and, you know, parental guidance, obviously. But it was hard work, you know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it was so fun. And again, I don't know how the weather gets so amazing out there, but the scenery too is just beautiful. The natural biodiversity, the birds, you know, and it was fun to see the people walking by and, you know, just appreciate, you know, what was happening and what was doing. So the employees really liked that too. So as you can see, the old boardwalk and then the new, and it wasn't like a deck at your house. I mean, this thing goes on and on. So I believe we completed 2 boardwalks, started the 3rd. But then because of COVID, we're really not allowed to volunteer right now in the community. But again, would like to get back into all of that. again, another fun project with volunteers. So besides those, we've done beach cleanups. International Coastal Cleanup Day is in September, and the GTM has a beach cleanup annually. We've done that. We've also gone on one of their guided hikes. And we thought, we don't want to make the people volunteer all the time. They might, get tired of coming to the GTM. Let's show them what fun stuff is there. So this was one of our hikes that we went on. Again, this guy in the front, he's got a backpack, but there's actually a baby in the backpack. So again, it's great to get the whole family out and involve multiple people. You can bring your spouse. So this was a really, really fun hike too. We even had actually some person come up from our Melbourne site because they had heard about the GTM so many times as we've asked about for volunteers and things like that. So we had actually a Melbourne employee join us for that hike. So that was pretty cool. So definitely at Northrop Grumman, we promote volunteerism. The company matches when we volunteer out in the community to those nonprofits. This man featured here, who he might be on the call, or he said he was going to join and maybe had to drop off. But John Up, he's one of my favorite volunteers and people out there. And I know the GTM loves him as well. But he's also been on multiple things where, not just gabions, not just boardwalks, but he's been out on the boat. He's done oyster monitoring. He's done these boardwalks here for the water quality. So again, loves the environment, loves getting out there, loves helping, and definitely promotes all of those things here at our site. And happy to say that John's volunteer efforts and my volunteer efforts every year are rewarded by our company, and our 40 years of service at the GTM annually, the GTM receives a $400 grant. So it's really, really cool what our company does. Again, promoting environment, promoting volunteering out in the community. This was also a super fun event. I didn't know what it meant to adopt a turtle nest. So we did this one year. And wow, the volunteerism that goes into the turtle nest is unbelievable. I tell people it was like having a baby. You don't know when your nest is going to hatch. So we didn't get to rally a bunch of troops because we're like, oh my gosh, we have to go tomorrow, 5 o'clock, be there. And so actually it was just John, myself, and my daughter. And we got to witness the evaluation of our turtle nest here. And it was really fascinating how they excavate the eggs or the shells. And we said that Northrop Grumman had a super turtle because I think ours had like an 89% hatch rate. And we said it was typically in the 70s that year or something of that nature. So I said, of course, Northrop Grumman would have a super turtle nest. That's just, what we do here at Northrop Grumman. So really, really cool, and appreciate all the volunteers that do that, continuously every year. But that was an amazing experience. So much amazing experiences out there. Again, highlighting our water quality efforts, highlighting our company, highlighting our sustainability footprint here in St. Augustine. You can definitely learn more about us, about our sustainability efforts in our corporate responsibility reports. You can find them online. And actually that YouTube video is available. You can find that online too if you wanted to watch that or share that with your friends and neighbors that didn't get to join the call. So I definitely left time for some Q&A. So I'll turn it back over to you guys. I don't know if there's anything in the chat or.
Awesome, thank you. We don't have anything in the chat yet. We have been conversing with you guys, just letting you know that we do have beach cleanups happening still, and we do have volunteerism at GTM as well, just to let you guys know if you're interested in helping out in any way. And with that, we will leave time. Feel free, guys, to write something in the chat if you'd like, or you can come off mute, raise your hand, whatever you'd like to do to ask Julie anything you'd like.
I also want to personally thank you, Julie. It's a nice highlight to hear all the lovely things, and especially acknowledging volunteering is huge. It's an important thing that isn't talked about that often. It's like, if you volunteer, but to acknowledge volunteering. So anyway, and also I didn't realize how truly sustainable it was. You guys are more sustainable than I realized.
It's
Yeah,
true.
same
You
here.
don't realize it. You don't realize it. So if you don't, if you're not telling people about it, you don't know. And that's not why we do it. So we're not like, hey, look at us,
Mhm.
But I think it is important. I mean, what are we doing? We're doing something. We're trying to make an impact and trying to make a difference and not just build an airplane. The customer definitely is interested in sustainability. They want to reduce their footprint in all those different areas as well. And so we actually write up what we do for the customer annually on what have we done. So we're always looking for ways to improve and make our product more sustainable.
Well, Julie, it looks like on that note, we also have a question over here in our chat box. And Irene is first. There's a couple. Irene asked, is there any plans to use wind energy in addition to solar?
Yeah, it gets so windy out here, honestly. I don't know why I don't believe we've done any investigative work on that yet, but I would love to. And it's funny, the way that they positioned that building, that new building, that giant building, is there is a wind tunnel. I promise there's like a wind tunnel in between our two buildings. They just get blown away. I thought if we could just put some right there, it'd be great. The thing with our site too is we move the aircraft around, and we have other programs in different aircraft that we might work on here from time to time. And so we have to make sure that that is not in the way. So, if we had, let's say some, a wind farm somewhere, we're going to make sure that, it's going to impede on the movement and the traffic of the aircraft to the runway, because we have a couple access points from our site to get to the runway. Whether it's way on the north side, which is our final testing, or if it's over on the back side where we go right onto the runway from our paint hangar. So that would have to get into play. And we don't have a lot of free space on our site, actually. But I would love to do a couple wind projects. We're just not really known for the wind. So, but I love the idea, definitely.
Definitely, yeah.
Explore it.
Also, I just have to say, it's so good to see you, Irene. It's so good to see you. You're on mute. There
Great
you
to see you.
go. It's like a virtual hug. Anyway, okay, so next question. Mary Finnan, which is also another trustee volunteer that we have. Her and Jeff are substantial in our volunteering department at GTM. And Mary asks, do you have responsibility at other NG plants? Or if not, are there opportunities to collaborate with counterparts or other sites? I have to scroll. The question continues. If so, any interesting projects that have been going on? Are there any other different projects going on to implement St. Augustine?
So the water project that we did, so we do have a couple other contaminated sites, and that was one of the first things that once we tested it, proved it out, completed the project, the remediation group said, where can we do this elsewhere? Like, why aren't we doing this where we have other, cooling towers and are making air conditioning and have contaminated sites? So they definitely looked at those opportunities. On the flip side, where you asked, do we have similar things going on at other sites? We definitely do. I'm in the aeronautics sector, and in the aeronautics sector, our large sites have, everyone has a me. So I'm working on the sustainability portion of the site and the aircraft and projects and things like that. But we're trying to incorporate sustainability into our global supply chain, like how we buy our products, what the packaging material is. We work on substituting chemicals. We have someone that's promoting recycling and water reduction efforts at those large sites. And of course, with small sites too, all of us have to report up, like, what are we doing at our site? They might not have someone that's dedicated and focused on it, like here at our site, our larger sites, but there is someone that was responsible for collecting that data, because that is something as a company we have to report out corporately to our stakeholders. What kind of chemicals are we using? What's the pounds of waste we've generated? So all of that definitely rolls up and is reported. So I do have counterparts, maybe not with as many projects, Our latest big project that was publicized was actually in the Baltimore area, and they did a huge solar farm on top of one of their buildings. And we have investigated a few additional solar opportunities. However, like I said at the beginning, our site is quite old. I mean, the original building from the 50s is still standing. So you can imagine how beautiful that roof integrity is. So to put these solar panels on these buildings is quite the effort in the roof structure, because in the 50s, they weren't putting solar panels on the buildings. So that's one of our big challenges here. Second is we lease some of our buildings from the airport. And so, you know, it's a big investment for a rental piece of property to put solar panels. And are we still going to be in that building, you know, a couple of years from now? Like, what's the investment? What's the payback? And again, it's about the roof system. So we're looking at, you know, improving our roof in some of these buildings to hopefully get some more solar panels. Unlike Melbourne, who has a lot more property because they're office space, they're not making an airplane that drives around the property. They have more real estate for the solar. That's why they're featured in that one report. But there's definitely projects going everywhere. Even like Australia, they did a huge water recycling reclaim system. In El Segundo, we've got our cooling towers on reclaimed water, you know, the purple pipe water you see all around town. You might have it in your neighborhood. We're looking for additional opportunities for that because, you know, that's getting off of potable water, like I said, reducing our water footprint. It's just the availability of resources too. That's really key of each individual site. You know, we'd all love to do X, Y, Z, but we might not have the infrastructure. We might not have the resources with the municipalities available. So we're only as good as our resources, just like you guys are as good as your volunteers. So always looking at
That's
different.
so true.
Exactly.
I hope that answered the question. And I love Mary. I sit by her and her husband at every event.
Oh, very cool. Awesome. I didn't know. That's cool. So I don't see any other questions in the chat. However, if anybody has any verbal questions, we can go there. You know, feel free to unmute yourself at this time if you have a verbal question. It's up to you guys. But if not, then also you can still type it too. I don't know. Virtual is weird. We're all here though. Also, oh, very cool. Thanks, Diane. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely interesting. Diane said that it's very interesting. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome. Glad to be able to partner with you guys always, you know, very fun. Like I said,
Mary's back. Mary's back. She said, did you guys paint the benches too?
paint the benches.
Paint the benches.
That was
we
Charlie
didn't.
Brown.
We didn't paint
Our
them,
volunteer
but, I mean,
Charlie is our
Along the trails.
trusty painter.
Along the trails. I don't know about, yeah. Is that Charlie?
Yeah, he's
Cool.
our trusty painter in his overalls.
Yeah.
Great guy.
But education
Yes.
also helped paint the other benches that are outside of, but on the riverfront
Mhm.
there, outside of the dam, like outside of the, I don't know, the visitor center.
Mhm.
Anyway.
and besides our, group of volunteers that we deploy, we have people that just come on their own, like, whether it's the fishing line recycling program or the, painting the benches, like we have people that will sign up, on their own. So we as the Northrop Grumman employees could have been involved in many, many projects. Just, maybe not as a collective group where I was involved, but, we're definitely boots on the ground at the GTM and just a really enjoyable place to be.
Yeah,
Very
and
true.
it's
I
a
can
great,
second that.
it's a great partnership too. Just to back up sustainability and being, eco-conscious is very important. Just realizing the precious resources that we have
Mhm.
and spreading the word about that is just extremely important. So having partnerships like you guys is substantial really, just to amplify.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And thank you again for having me speak, connecting us to the GTM. I'm like, oh, we are so connected. Yes. Everybody.
Super connection.
We appreciate you, Julie, and we
all right.
appreciate our partnership with your esteemed organization.
Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Spread the word, So.
Yes, absolutely. And guys, I just wanted to let you know, thank you all for tuning in again. If you have any questions, you can send them over to Brittany or I.
Mhm.
Also, if you want to watch this presentation or share it with anyone, it should be recorded and it will be shared on our website within the week. So if you had anyone who seemed interested and wanted to join today but couldn't, it will be available under the education tab on our website, gtmner.org.
And I'm going to put my email in here just for anyone who has questions. So that's my email. And then let's see, I'll add Madison's too. If anybody has any questions or also, I wanted to highlight while we're at it, GTM is finally introducing in-person hikes. So tomorrow we're gonna start our first hike, but it's more of like an internal type hike. The 19th, whoever wants to join, it's the first guided exploration hike again, because that's one of our 4 guided events that we have recurring each month, for those who don't know. And so this is gonna be a guided exploration hike and on the 19th. So you can sign up if you're interested. It's going to be great. Of course, we're going to be also incorporating social distancing and, all the extra, the COVID extra. We COVIDified it. It's COVIDified. So social distancing, sanitizing, everything. But we'll be there if you want to join us on the 19th at the trailhead at 10 o'clock on the 19th. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yes. And Patrician did share in the chat where you can register if you would like to. And if you don't get a chance, you can just come hang out with us and we will make sure to accommodate you safely and appropriately.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But also, we're going to take it back to Julie, and your presentation was lovely. And we are truly glad to have had you today. So thanks.
Awesome. Glad to be here. Can't wait to get back out there.
Yes.
See you guys next time.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you everyone for participating today. Hope you have a good day.
Take care and stay healthy, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.